Hi there. In this screencast, we'll look at purchase orders, filling purchase orders, and modifying purchase invoice in Sage 50. So I'll go to the payables module, and to create a purchase order, you click on the purchase orders icon. You can choose your supplier. In this case, it's Hamilton Music. For those of you who are following in the book, they have a screenshot for loose stationery. The correct supplier is Hamilton Music. Notice the order number gets populated. We did that in Setup, Settings, Company Reports. Reports and Forms, that is. And we're ordering on March 9th. Hamilton assures us that they'll be shipping it on the 28th. And we're buying 15 A102s. So again, to choose the item, you can click in that little field for item number and click on your little black triangle and pick up your A102s. And we want 15 of those. We haven't purchased this item before, so that's why no price appears. Again, remember this is an average. They let us know, Hamilton Music that is, lets us know that they're charging us $14.95 each. GST for everything. And we're also ordering 20 W122s. So I'll quickly choose this inventory item in a slightly different way. We can also use the magnifying glass. And you get a similar sort of list. W122s, harmonicas. And we want 20 of those. 3 in each key. And $12.75 is what they're charging us. GST, if we're purchasing for resale, no PST. And the freight is $35 plus GST. Hamilton Music lets us know that they're shipping via UPS. We only have the one shipper set up, so I'm just going to use that one, but in real life, of course, you would choose the correct shipper. And notice the tracking number is grayed out. It's unavailable until we actually receive notice that this item's been shipped, and then we'll turn this purchase order into an invoice, and then the tracking number will be available to fill out. Choose OK. And if you look at the report, you'll notice that there's no bookkeeping done because we don't actually owe anything and we don't owe anything additional. So that's creating a purchase order. I'll quickly record that. And OK. And now let's take a look at how we fill that order. So a little later, probably shortly after the 28th or on the 28th, Hamilton Music lets us know that the item's been shipped, we receive an invoice, or we've received the items on our loading bay with an invoice and a packing slip. So you can choose purchase invoices, or you can twirl Hamilton Music Center and choose create invoice. And notice that we have an order quote number, so you can pick up that quote number. So that's one way of creating an invoice from a purchase order. We also can, I'll just discard that. We can also just go to the purchase order, find purchase order, find the purchase order. There's only one, so it's an easy search, and then we can choose invoice. Now we've converted that purchase order to an invoice. Another method, and this is my favorite, is to go to the Daily Business Manager. And again, they said they'd ship it to us on the 28th. Notice that the 28th is bold for that reason. And if you click on purchase orders, you'll see there's a purchase order for the 28th. If I just double click on it in the Daily Business Manager, it converts the purchase order to a purchase order to a purchase invoice. I don't even have to convert it myself. So if you open a purchase order via the Daily Business Manager, it automatically becomes an invoice. Now we just have to enter the quantity that we've received. So we've received everything in this situation. So you'll notice that nothing is back ordered. If we received less than what we ordered, there'd be an amount in the back order. If we receive all that we ordered, the purchase order, once we post this thing, the purchase order is cleared from the system. If we haven't received everything, if we've received, for example, only 10 W122s and there's 10 back ordered, that purchase order will exist until it's filled. And they've let us know, again, Hamilton Music has let us know the invoice number, which is HMC 348. It's now March 28th. And they are giving us terms. 2% discount if we pay within 10 days. They've also let us know there's a tracking number. So if I click on my little present flying through the air, I can enter that tracking number. And okay, and now you'll see, if you look at the report, journal entry, again, this is how we look at the under the hood, behind the scenes bookkeeping. You'll notice that we now owe for those items, and we now possess those items. There's the asset accounts. There's the liability account. And we can go ahead and post. And yes. And okay. And okay. And I'm done with my invoice. And I'll close my Daily Business Manager. And the next thing we'll look at is adjusting a purchase invoice. So we purchased something from HMS, Harkenet Musical Services, a while ago. We entered 4 guitar stands, but we actually received 5 guitar stands. So we have to go and modify that invoice. How we'd find that error, I'm not sure, but I guess maybe from doing an inventory check or something like that at the end of the month. If you twirl purchase invoice and mouse over invoice, you'll notice that we have find and adjust. So you can just quickly jump to adjust if you need to change something. Otherwise, you can find something and then use the adjust button to adjust it. I'm going to go ahead and use the adjust. So I'm going to find it, and it will be in editing mode once it's opened. And this is from HMS, Hamilton Music Service or something, Harkenet Musical Services, that is. And I'll choose OK. There's the one invoice for them. I'm just going to select that. And you'll see that this is editable. Again, because I used adjust. And we actually purchased 5 of those. So I'm going to change that to 5. And I'll go ahead and post. And yes. And OK. And you'll see that the under the hood bookkeeping, behind the scenes bookkeeping, is handled correctly. There is an audit trail maintained. So for every entry that you delete, a reversing entry will be entered. For every entry that you change, a reversing entry and a correcting entry will be posted. We can see these if we go to reports, journal entries. If we want purchases, that'll just show us the purchases. We can use all, that'll show us all of the transactions for all of the modules. And this is the report I use to mark everything. We already saw general. If we want to lean out a report so we only see the thing that we're interested in, we can just use the purchases. And we've only done transactions in March, so I'm just going to quickly jump over to March. March. Now, if you want to see that those correcting entries, you can click on corrections. Otherwise, it'll only show you the corrected entry. I'll choose OK. Alphonse's Music World. Now you'll see that we don't actually have any correcting entries because that happened back in February, right? That's the entry and the correcting entry. Let me just make that smaller, sorry. There we go. So if I wish to look for, I believe that was February 13th that the original entry happened on. So I'll go to Modify, Report Options, and go back to February 13th. I'll go a little earlier just to make sure. And I'll choose OK. And now you see there's Harknet. If you want to see the details of any of these transactions, you can just double click on the journal number. That'll actually open up the original transaction. Oh, that's probably not the one. There it is. On the 13th. Where's the original? $151. So this is the correcting entry for that. And this is the, sorry, this is a reversing entry, and this is the connecting entry, correcting entry. So as you'll see, this is exactly the opposite. Of that. So where amounts were debited, they are now credited, etc. I never need to see the audit trail myself, so I always just leave that unchecked. You'll see the report is much more lean without those corrections. But just to ensure that proper bookkeeping standards are indeed followed, that's why I showed you that. So I'm done with my purchases journal report. I'll close this. So again, that was looking at purchase orders, filling purchase orders, and modifying purchase invoices. That is, finding and adjusting purchase invoices. Thanks so much for watching.